welcome back to my channel. I'm Evan, also known as the Cozy Contemporary, and this is the Cozy Corner. So here we're going to talk all things style, lifestyle, home decor, travel, basically anything that makes me feel cozy and happy and at peace. So today we are kicking off the wedding planning series. So if you watched the first video, then you would have known that I am recently engaged. I just got engaged this summer. And I have already started planning. I'm a little bit of a mix between a type A and a type B. So depending on what it is, I can be very, I don't want to say rigid, but very organized. And then I can also be a little more lax and go with the flow. So I'm trying to approach this wedding planning situation as a little bit of both, really, because I do think that there are elements that are going to call for me to be very on top of things and very by the book. But then there are other elements where I think that I can be a little bit more free and a little bit more relaxed. So in terms of our wedding, we've already picked a date. We've already picked a location. So we're both from Detroit, as I stated before. We are going to get married in Detroit because we both have pretty large families. Some of them are a little older or, might not be able to travel to where we are in Brooklyn. And we're also anticipating probably like 200 plus people. And the thought of having to get that many people to New York and like book hotels and figure out transportation is it's too much. So we'll be going to Detroit to get married. We're going to get married next fall. So we've got about like 14 months or so to start planning or until the day. Our venue is pretty cool. So we're not traditional people really at all. I won't say at all, but we're very creative and artistic and fashionable. Those that know us know what I mean. And when it came to venues, we knew that getting married in a church just didn't feel like aligned with us, I guess. So we wanted a space that would allow us to be like a little bit more creative with the decor and just with the vibe. Like we kind of talked about possibly doing karaoke at our wedding. So I just wanted to make sure we found a space that would really allow us to do all of the things that we wanted to do and just felt very, again, aligned is the word. I love that word. Aligned with us. So the venue is kind of an industrial space. It used to be used as a not recording studio, but like a video studio to record commercials for like GM. So I think it's pretty sweet. Like there's a lot of exposed brick. It's multi-level. So there's like a really cool balcony that we can utilize. There's a really nice outdoor space that we're thinking of utilizing for cocktail hour, maybe with like a really nice tent out there. So I think that this space is I think the way that we're going to be able to transform it is just going to be magical. So I'm excited about that. I also wanted to share with you guys some of the resources that I found so far that have been helping me to get started with this planning process, because planning a wedding is no easy feat. Like you hear people talk about it all the time and saying how daunting and crazy it is, but I feel like it doesn't have to be that way. I think that, and this is just my perspective, especially with like having past experience with like planning parties or events, I think that what gets you into trouble is that you think that you have more time than what you actually do. So even the little stuff that you're like, oh, I can do that in 3 months, just do it now. So we've already got the location and the date. My fiance actually already picked out a suit. We've already kind of just gotten the ball rolling on a couple of things. And so I think that with the additional help of the resources that I found, I think we'll be okay. So let's get into some of the things that I've been using so far that I think are going to be helpful for me and also to anybody else out there that has just gotten engaged. All right, so I'm just going to preface this and say that all of the things that I'm about to talk about, I will link them in the description box below because I think that these are very important tools to share. So first one I want to talk about is this wedding planning book that I just got from The Knot. I ordered it from Amazon, but it's published by The Knot. And it's basically just a binder full of stuff. It talks all about the wedding planning process from start to finish. It has all of these different tabs in it that talk about budgeting. It has like checklists in each section, timeline. It talks to you about like creating a Pinterest board and like finding inspiration. So really anything that you can think of, or even that you might not think about in terms of planning a wedding, is in this book. So I'm gonna use this for myself to really just like stay on track and like, make sure that I'm moving things along at the time that they're supposed to, making sure that they'll save the dates and invites go out on time. I was just kind of looking through like the wedding dress section, and it has information about like different fabrics and maybe fabrics that you might want to think about depending on the season that you're getting married. So I'm really excited to dive more into that. But I think that this is just an excellent resource for anybody that is in the wedding planning stages, because it's one thing to keep it all up here, but writing it down, typing it, whatever, I think it's really going to be helpful. And there's also some really nice worksheets in this book too that I'm going to have my fiance go through with me so that we can make sure that we are seeing eye to eye. And like, of course, there's going to have to be some compromises that are made in this wedding planning process. So just making sure that I'm getting what I would like and he's also making sure that, a little bit of him is involved in this process too. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm just the only one that is like, oh, I like this, so that's what we're going to go with. Like, his opinions and thoughts and feelings are also important. So we're going to go through those worksheets. Next thing is also from the Knot, but they have this really, really nice is not even the term that I want to use because it's just amazing. But it is a Google spreadsheet that has all of these different tabs. You can edit it yourself. So they've built out the templates for each tab already. So for example, they have a budgeting sheet. And so you can fill out what you think your proposed budget is. So just say, I'm just throwing a number out there. This is not what I'm trying to do. But say you're trying to plan a wedding for $100,000. You can put that number at the top of a particular column, and then it'll auto-populate all of the stuff that they think, or it'll give you estimates on how much they think you should spend per item for your wedding. So that is like amazing, because I'm kind of walking into this not really knowing what should be spent on what. Like, my parents have been married for over 30 years now, so they got married in the 80s. I feel like they can't really talk to me about the budget, like, oh, well, we spent $200 on our alcohol, because it's like, okay, well, that was then. Inflation is very real now, so I feel like those numbers have changed, and this just gives me a more realistic viewpoint of how much things should cost. So love that, and I've shared it with everybody that is playing a part in this planning process. So my parents, my fiance, one of my cousins, my aunt. So anybody that is contributing creatively, financially, emotionally to this process, they have access to the spreadsheet. I didn't give everybody editing access because we don't want to cause any confusion, but definitely just want everybody to be able to see what exactly we're looking at, what the end goal is, where we might have some wiggle room and things like that. I just really want to cut down on any type of confusion or miscommunication. Again, I think it's great that we have over a year, but you know how parents and family members can be. You tell them something one day, and then I feel like 5 seconds later you're answering the same questions, and it's no fault of anybody's. It's just like they just want to make sure, you want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. But I think that this is just a great way to have a bird's eye view about everything. So the next one is Brides.com. So I like to read a lot of articles just to see what other people have done in the past, and also just get like some expert advice. So Brides.com has articles about literally everything, about how to throw a bridal shower, about how to throw a rehearsal dinner, and like who pays for what and all of that. So I've just been kind of like looking at articles, I feel like a couple times a week, and just getting some expert tips and advice about traditionally what people are doing or have been doing for the past couple years, and just getting some real life accounts about, like, from other couples and brides about how they plan certain things. So that has also been very helpful. And it's not like you have to pay for a subscription or anything, because I hate a paywall. Okay. I hate that. I just feel like information needs to be accessible to everybody. So I love that it's free. You can read all you want, read all day long. So I love that. And then the last one I want to talk about is the Hue I Do podcast. So I'm a podcast listener. I love them. I think that they are a great thing to listen to. Like I listen to a lot of music. And so sometimes I have days when I'm like, I don't feel like listening to music. I want to listen to a podcast. So I'll literally just find a show that I like, and while I'm working, just have that playing all day. So the Hue I Do podcast is hosted by two Black women. I believe their names are Ashley and Tania. They're like best friends. They both have gotten married already. But I felt like it was very important for me to hear information from Black women about getting married. I think that oftentimes we're excluded from those conversations. I think that people think that we don't get married, or that we don't value marriage, or that we don't have the resources to get married or have these really nice weddings. And that is completely far from the truth. So I made it a point to find a podcast or something that was hosted by Black women or ran by Black women that could help me understand a little bit more about the process. So I've already probably listened to about, 20, 30 episodes or so. It's a pretty easy listen. You can really just put it on while you're doing anything and just let it rock. But they interview a lot of people, within the wedding industry. So planners, floral designers, bakers, really all types of people. And they talk about their experience within the industry. I thought it was cool that basically while both of the hosts were in the midst of their planning process, they were kind of talking through like different things that they were doing, or where they were kind of like cutting costs, or where they were investing more. So it just feels like you're kind of at the kitchen table, like talking to a couple girlfriends about wedding planning. And so I love that. It's been really helpful. I listen to it on Spotify, but I'm pretty sure you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. And they also have an Instagram that I can't remember the handle right now, but I'll link that down as well. But I think that it's been a really nice thing to listen to. Again, I feel like, I don't know why, even searching on TikTok, like when I search wedding planning or 2023, 2024 brides, there's not a lot of Black women that are popping up on my thing. And that frustrates me, because I know that we're out here. So hopefully, in addition to the Hue I Do podcast, I can also be a resource to the other girlies out here. So yeah, y'all, those are what's been helping me so far. I've really just been trying to learn as much as possible. Again, it's like you hear family members talk about like their wedding planning processes, but if it was 20, 30 years ago, even I feel if it was like 5 to 10 years ago, it's almost like certain things you can take away from it, but then other things, it's like things are just so different and more expensive now, where just needed to get a little bit more updated information. So yeah, that's where we're at so far. I think that the next thing I want to do is research some bridal shops in New York that I want to go to. Instagram has been feeding me lots and lots of ads recently. So I already have a couple in mind, but I just want to make a list so that when my family comes out here, we already kind of have a game plan. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've determined I'm not going to be stressed out about this. Again, I think it all just boils down to like looking at every day as an opportunity to plan. I know some people get married in 3 months, some people get married in 6, and we're getting married in 14. So I think that this should be a fun process. It should be an easeful process. I know that there's going to be some hiccups and bumps along the road, but if I can minimize those as much as possible, then that's just what I'm going to do. So yeah. Hopefully this was helpful. We'll definitely have more to come. I'll update you all like as I go along with this. But yeah, that's where we are so far. So again, everything is going to be linked down below. I hope that you guys found this to be somewhat helpful. If you're not getting married, share this with somebody who is, or save this for, when that time comes for you. But thank you again for tuning in and watching, and see you on the next one. Bye.